Jake, you already had the tease because I gave you the question before we got started over here. So we'll buy Alex some time, and I'll ask you first. If death not being an option, would you rather be a United fan right now, or would you rather be a Chelsea fan?
Ooh, you did let me know about this before the show, and I was supposed to be thinking about it. I think I'd have to go with Chelsea just because there's less turmoil surrounding the coach versus the players, and the players, involving themselves in scandals off the pitch. So I think Chelsea have a better structure to turn things around, where it's more just like what's happening on the field isn't working. That's the only thing you have to figure out, where it's like United have to figure out their entire locker room situation. And there's so much more than just what's happening on the pitch. So I'm going to go with Chelsea. I wouldn't want to be either club right now, but that's, goes without saying. So if I had to pick, death not an option, I would say Chelsea.
Alex, pick a side. I mean, the red or the blue?
We all know what I have to pick. I'm not going to say I wish I was a Chelsea fan. That's not going to happen. But I think for similar reasons, though, because I think maybe they're neighbors and maybe there's a lot of crossover with Chelsea and Fulham there in West London. But I genuinely think I'd rather be a United fan. I think Bowley, really? I really do. I think the whole Glazer mess right now has been hanging over the club for however many years. I think they just announced that they're going to pull the bid and they don't want to sell anymore. Who knows? But at the end of the day, Chelsea is a hot mess. And I think that the play on the field is a reflection of that in maybe a different way than United, where there's now seems to be like a quietly open power struggle between Ten Hag and whoever else is pulling the strings. But this isn't also new for Chelsea. This was happening last year. They went on a run of fixtures where I think they were bottom of the form table for a bit in the Premier League. Yeah. And genuinely looked like they could be relegated. Now, that was never going to happen. But for a while there, they were one of the worst, if not the worst.
You're saying you had a little hope, though. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, my God. More than
you were like, hope. So there's a chance.
Oh, God. It was cool. Fantastic. But no, I think that truly Chelsea are a hot man. I think you see what Bowley's doing, where he's offering guys 8-year deals and trying to just weird stuff. And he doesn't know there's all these anecdotes from meetings he's in where he's asking about players, and he's like, bring that guy in, and they're like, no, we can't do that. So I don't know, that kind of ownership is long-term bad news, and I would not want any part of that.
See, that's interesting, because I think you're the first person that has answered United, and I'm putting that on the Chelsea hates mostly.
I mean, definitely, for sure. It's like when you have two pundits and they have to say opposite things, but I was never going to say Chelsea. So if you had said United too, Jake, would have been 100% agree. That's it. United for sure.
We got to script this shit better than, because
yeah.
I mean, I think for the reasons that Jake went over, I think I go with Chelsea over United, just because it feels like this is what we got to sort, as opposed to we got to sort this, and then without sorting all these, it doesn't feel like they can sort the field. But at the same time, I do understand what you mean about the Chelsea ownership, but I feel like at least he keeps shoveling in talents in there. I mean, mind you, they're all overpaid, but I don't know how these contracts are going to come back and bite them in the ass. Obviously, we know their connections to the Saudi League, so they might be able to dump some of these contracts there down the road. Because, I mean, we know how this stuff looks in baseball. I mean, I can't stand baseball personally. I don't know if you guys follow it, but I know there are teams, that are paying guys that retired 5 years ago and stuff, and he's still collecting a check. And I felt like, man, this is going to come to bite them in the ass in 5 years over here when you're paying guys who are no longer there, or who are really on the way down. In terms of ownership alone, Jake, would you rather have Glazers, or would you rather have Todd just making it rain over
there? Is death an option?
Yeah, this one it is.
Nope, still off the table.
Ooh, this one's tricky. I don't know. I think Alex is right when he says the stuff about Boy, and it's just not a good look. And I know the Glazer stuff is also bad, but it's been bad, and kind of numb to it now because it's been so long, and it's like just sell the team, you know. Where it's like Boehly's not going to sell, so you know you're stuck with him, and he's just going to keep doing this dumb financial decisions, which, you know, is a bad look for Americans in general. But I would have to go just by default the Glazers, because I wouldn't want it to be Boehly.
I mean, because ultimately the Glazers still spend money, just not in that smart way, Alex. It just feels like they just don't have the right people. So they overpay people that they should not. They make changes where they should not. So it's almost hard to put it on the managers coming in, because if every manager is having the same problem, the common denominator has to be the people above, you would think.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I think that is a very big similarity between the two of them, where if you look at right now what's going on, like, do you see any type of long-term vision with either of them? Where it's like, I know it was a Poch, right? But is there any, like, beyond him being a big manager, is there any full backing and like, this is what we're going to do? Like you see with Ange Postecoglou, where it's like, we're going to ride with this, and it's going to be a little wild maybe for a bit, but like, we are building to this. And with De Zerbi at Brighton, this is what we're doing and we're going for it. Do you see that at United or at Chelsea? The second they have another long downturn, Poch is gone. Ten Hag, if it continues like this, he will not make it through the year. So like, and then you're starting over again. So both of these teams have this ownership where it's just like, we need to do this right now. And how do you build any type of consistency with that? And you can buy players in and you can stay kind of good, but to really challenge, you can't. You need an actual system and movement in place.
Yeah, it's like zero consistency, and you got to figure, Jake, it has to affect the players where there's so much like instability. But I think that's why I kind of go back to, I don't know if there are problems in the Chelsea locker room aside from maybe not enough lockers for people, so they have to use the second one. But when you look at United, they have so much other stuff going on. I mean, obviously off the field stuff. Then you have like, you know, like really drama with characters like Sancho, who was like a young talent that came for a lot of money. Maguire, a big-headed talent that came for a lot of money and didn't pan out and was your captain at one point. So it feels like they have a lot more cleanup. But at the same time, they look like, somehow to me, they look closer to taking that step compared to Chelsea. I can't put my finger on it why. Even though I agree with exactly what you're saying, I think I'd rather be a Chelsea fan. It feels like, even you look at the Bayern game today, it feels like United are closer. They just need a right tweak or two. You just don't have the confidence that those tweaks are going to come.
I think it might be because, you know, we've seen United do this before, where they start slow and, you know, there's like some drama going on behind the scenes, and then they just somehow turn it around. Like I remember even like last season, like I didn't think for a while that they were going to make a top four, and then they did easily. So I don't know. I feel like maybe they've been there, done that, where it's like Chelsea have been somewhat consistent before last season, where they've just, you know, been around the top six conversation and haven't really had those big dips in form. And then, you know, it happened with the manager carousel started for Chelsea, and you know, United had a similar manager carousel, and now you have players that were bought by 5 different coaches, and now the current manager has to sort it all out. So, you know, both in bad positions, but yeah, I agree. It does kind of feel like United are closer to maybe being a good team again.
Do you feel that, Alex? Since you picked United, I assume you do, but it feels like they are closer. Man, it's so hard to answer these questions because I can feel the Chelsea hate coming in the back. It's like steam. I don't know if that's blur from that or it's just steam from like the hate.
It's both. It's sauna in here now. No, I think, yeah. I mean, especially look at how they played today, and even I mentioned earlier they did not look good against Brighton. Part of that is Brighton looked real good, so that's part of it. The other part is a couple of those goals, they were jogging and did not look interested and did not look like they were at the races. And then you compare that with today, and they scored 3 times against Bayern Munich. They looked okay. And you compare that with Chelsea and their draw against Bournemouth, and you're kind of like, is that what we're comparing this against? So yeah, for on the field and possibility of reaching a higher level in the table, I go United. because I just don't think Chelsea are a good team this year. I really don't. I think they are more steps away, like you said.